Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for both the collective and each individual life path number for August 2022. So before we get into the forecast, I just want to, of course, mention that this is a general reading. So if you would like to sort of dive more deeply into your own personal energies, because they may be very different from sort of what we're looking at collectively or what you're even looking at from a collective life path energy, then please book some time with me. I do offer month ahead forecast, personal month ahead forecast, as well as year ahead forecasts, which again are tuned into your personal numerology and your personal energies. And then, of course, I also offer coaching with numerology, your numerology reports. There's a whole plethora of offerings on my website. So if you're interested in working with me and again, diving deeper into your own numerology and personal energies, then book some time with me. I would love to work with you. Okay, so August 2022, we are working with a 14-5 energy. Now, those of us who have a lot of sort of predominant 5 energies throughout our reports, throughout our charts, this is sort of going to be more, it's just going to be more of what we're sort of used to. We're very familiar with this energy, so we can kind of adapt to it and move with the punches. But it's still going to be important to understand that we're getting a heavy dose of this month. And so just to be prepared and so to be able to work with it to the best of our abilities. Those of you who don't have a lot of 5s within your chart, this can be, sometimes 5 energy can be it can feel a little disruptive. It can feel very transformative. It can feel as if sort of the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. But it can also sort of bring more spice into your life. It can bring about this desire for freedom, to break free, to move beyond the restrictions, to travel, to explore. It's a very big, fast-moving energy. So it can be a lot to sort of wrap your head around and your energy around if you're not used to working with it. So, but it is very much working for us as opposed to against us. A lot of times with 5 energy, it tries to move us abruptly sometimes to where it is that we need to be on our journey. So if we've got distracted or we're procrastinating, the 5 energy is so good about sort of coming in like this big gust of wind to lift us up and put the wind in our sails to get us moving again. So it is very, very positive energy, but it can be a lot to work with. So let's look at the forecast. So this can be a cycle when we are forced to sort of see things from a new perspective, because we're not only working with the 5 energy, we're working with the influencing energy of the 14. So this is also, I've sort of marinated that into this forecast as well. So we can be kind of asked to see things from a new perspective through new clarity coming in or new experiences that help us to better understand a situation. So these new experiences may have us reviewing a past behavior to see if there's things that we want to approach differently. This is very powerful energy. So this cycle can highlight areas where we may need to choose to modify our lifestyle in some way to get different results than what we have been seeing. There's a lot of sort of personal responsibility that's sort of, again, included in this energy, right? So this is big, explosive, and expansive energy, and desires that we didn't even know that we had can surface now. The more that we can sort of ground ourselves and keep checking in with the reality of the situation, that's really, really important to remember, like to keep checking in with the reality, because 5 energy can have you thinking about, dreaming really big and using that big imagination and going after those big goals, which is great. But we can often lose sight of the reality of the situation and what we're actually working with. And so it's important to keep coming back to that. I kind of sometimes think of 5 energy as being very similar to like Uranus energy in astrology. It's got a lot of the same kind of dynamic influences. So anyway, so again, the more that we can ground ourselves and keep checking in with the reality of the situation, the less likely we are to sort of get swept up into something that's not truly aligned with us and our goals. So pay attention to, again, like what comes in for you this month. Not to say that new relationships that come in this month or that sort of get springboarded this month won't last. It's very possible that they could, and it could be that this energy is coming in to sort of facilitate that. But it's also possible that we're putting on 6 layers of rose-colored glasses and sort of getting enamored with maybe somebody or something that's not necessarily the best long-term fit. So just kind of keep that in mind. And that's what I say, keep coming back to the reality of the situation, right? Try to find a way to marry both those that more idealistic viewpoint and the reality, and then you'll have like a healthy balance. So this can be incredibly creative energy. So this can be a very creative period where sort of we move the magic of the imagination into something more tangible within the physical reality. So this is very supportive energy for unconventional thinking and creating as far outside of the box as your imagination wants to take you. So play in the realm of creativity as much as possible, while also keeping yourself grounded as much as possible. So again, you're finding the balance between the two and having them work together with synastry, right? Like this can be such an incredibly powerful, creative period if we work with the energy in a very balanced way. So moderation, as I always say with 5 energy, is going to be key for the best results, right? For the most beneficial results of this energy. This can also be a profitable time for commercial, sort of seeing more money and business dealings. So anything that you have to do, like any kind of interaction or any kind of, just any kind of interaction that you have or transaction that you have that's commercial, around money, around business dealings, can be very profitable at this time. Just make sure that you're slowing down and paying attention to all of the details and the possible outcomes or scenarios before fully committing or signing your name to anything. And so I want to repeat that because I think it's really, really important, especially when we're working with 5 energy, because we don't have like any kind of 4 energy here, although we might have some through the illuminations of the full moon or the new moon. I can't remember. But 4 energy is like the details. 5 energy is just let's go. It's so big and expansive that a lot of times it can lose sight of those details, right? The finer print. So again, slow down, pay attention to all of the details and the possible outcomes or scenarios before fully committing or signing your name to anything. So again, it's not like you want to be the Debbie Downer or, be pessimistic or whatever. It's again, bringing that realism into the situation to be like, okay, this is the risk. This is what could potentially come from that risk. This is the potential outcomes. And this is the scenarios that I could be facing if I take this risk. Is it worth that to me? Right. So there just needs to be kind of this, in the midst of all of this big energy, these periods of checking in and making sure that, the route that you're taking or the risks that you're taking are what you want to be taking, or that you're open to, that you're okay. You've explored the possible outcomes and you're okay with those. You might not want to have to deal with those possible outcomes, but you've evaluated them and you can work with them, right? 14-5 energy can bring big hopes and huge aspirations that make it really easy to sort of disregard or overlook possible catastrophic outcomes. And so that's what I mean. It's like, yes, take a risk, but be sure you're well aware of what the potential risks are before saying yes. And of course, it's life, so we don't always know everything that could possibly happen. I think that's implied, right? But it's about doing your best to try to do the research, just to make sure that you have an understanding of what could potentially go wrong, and are you able to work with that, right? If that were to happen, if the worst case scenario were to occur, can you handle that? Can you work with that? If the risk is too great, then you may want to modify it. So modify the situation, modify the opportunity, modify whatever you need to modify, so that if things do go sideways, then you can somewhat easily dust yourself off and start over without too much devastation, right? You don't want to do anything that if things go sideways, it's going to set you back so far that you're now digging yourself out of a hole to try to recover. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, just keep your head about you and just be mindful, right? Just do the research. Just make sure that you're fully educated and fully aware of the potentiality of what could come from these big risks. But don't let that scare you. Like if you do the research and you say, okay, you know what, this is the risk. Yeah, it would suck, but I am fully capable of overcoming it, whatever. It might be a little bit of a setback, but it's not going to devastate me or my family. Go for it, right? Because it's not meant to put fear in you to not do the things that your soul wants to do. It's just to be well educated to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for potential failure, right? Because it also, things with big risks, right? Things with the potential for a big risk, right? Also have the potential for not only like big devastation, but big wins, right? And so you just have to look at it for your own situation and see, what are you willing to say yes to? What are you willing to work with if it goes sideways? So competitive situations can also surface under this energy. So if that happens, try to keep those interactions light and playful. That's going to be really, really important, because otherwise you're inviting in conflict and chaos that can arise very quickly and unnecessarily. So choose how you participate, as always, with this energy. And as always, moderation is going to be key. The more that you can bring in moderation, continue to find your balance, continue to remain centered, then you are going to benefit from this energy in spades. I mean, there's just so much potential here to really flourish under this energy, but just remain as grounded as possible as you play in this 5 energy. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at each individual life path number now. Life path 11-2. So I pulled an animal spirit message for you all, and you've got dolphin energy. And I love this. I love this for you all. Okay, so dolphin is bringing the joy, the playfulness, the sort of the romance, but like romancing life. You know what I mean? Like just really enjoying life, having gratitude for this experience, even through the challenges. Just finding like the joy in the little things. And also it's bringing about sort of this trickster energy or playing pranks, right? Like life playing pranks on us type thing. Which is interesting because this kind of ties in with some of the energy, like the undercurrent energy that you all are working with in August, but it's kind of like this balance. It's kind of like this, again, like this energy with dolphin of like finding your joy, finding the joy in even the more challenging moments. And joy might be a stretch, but like finding the levity, like finding things to lighten the mood a little bit, right? And to remember to play and to remember to get out there and take time for yourself and doing things that you enjoy and things that inspire you. Because again, you all are the inspirational leaders. So if you're not doing things that inspire you, you can't possibly be inspiring others, right? So dolphin is coming in just to remind you of, life is meant to be like one big inspiration, even through the lessons, even through the challenges, we are meant to pull from those experiences things that we enjoy and release the things that we don't, right? And so if there's anywhere within your experience at the moment where you keep showing up to something you just don't enjoy, you need to find a way to start releasing that, because anything that we do that's purely out of like perceived obligation or purely out of like just trying to please others or not rock the boat or, be comfortable, even though we're not inspired, that is like sort of the biggest joy kill. That is the biggest killer for inspiration. And so for 11s, it's even like more important for you all to keep sort of following that light of inspiration, wherever it takes you, even if that means change, transformation, rebirth, even if that means doing things outside your comfort zone, even if that means people being uncomfortable with that or not okay with that. 11s, for you to really step into that energy, your sort of mission in life is to do what inspires you, which sounds so easy, but it's not sometimes. Sometimes like the things that inspire us the most are the things that we hit the most walls with, right? Because it's kind of the universe being like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure that you have passion for this? Are you sure that this inspires you? Are you sure that you're willing to sort of dedicate yourself to this against all odds, especially with 11 energy, especially with that master level energy? So I think dolphin coming in, and dolphins are some of the most intelligent beings on the planet. Dolphin being your guide for August is just reminding you that you came here with everything that you need to be able to do this work. So the question is what you're doing currently, are the relationships that you are in, do they inspire you? Do you feel that connection, that spark, that, whatever the case may be? Because if you don't, you may want to check to see, what is your energy like around these people? What is your energy like doing these deeds, right? Do you feel depleted? Do you feel like it's out of alignment? Because that needs to be looked at more closely. And I do think that this month will give you an opportunity to do that. So just remember with Dolphin, bring back the joy, do the things that inspire you, follow that inspiration, take that inspired action, romance yourself, romance life, right? Find the romance again with your existence here, with this journey, right? With this opportunity to experience this planet, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to remember that sometimes it can feel like life is playing tricks on us, but it's really to kind of like shift things up for us, like spice things up, to let us to see a different perspective, right? So that we don't get stuck in a mundane. Okay, so for August, you all are working with not only the 5 energy, but also this undercurrent energy of the 16-7. So passions can be raging this month, 11s. I would say explore those temptations while trying to also stay grounded when it comes to like making choices, right? So decisions made from a space of sort of charged emotions, and charged emotions are not necessarily the same thing as inspiration, right? Like when you're inspired, when you feel passionate about something, yes, there's like an emotion tied to that, but it's like a fire from like maybe your solar plexus, and we can feel that energy in different places depending on who we are and, whatever. For me, like when I feel really inspired, or when I feel like really like my intuition coming through, like, yes, this is meant for me, I feel it in my solar plexus. But for you, it might be different. And so there's a difference between that inspiration and a charged emotion. So, you might have something come in for you where you feel like this incredible amount of lust, or this incredible amount of anger, or this incredible amount of joy too, right? Which is great. But there's also this this piece around, it's kind of like when they say, don't make a decision after 10 o'clock at night, or when you're sad, or when you're overly happy, or whatever, because the world works and the universe works in polarities, right? And so there's also, where there's idealism, there's also reality. And so I do think that though you are meant to follow your passion, and though you are meant to be, follow that inspiration, there needs to be that healthy dose of realism as well, and groundedness. And so again, I would say, whatever comes in for you all, because again, you're working with big energy this month, and it can be a very emotionally charged month. Let's put it that way. So I would say, feel the emotions, see where they're trying to take you, see what they're trying to show you, but stay grounded in that energy, or as much as possible as well. Because again, making a decision from a space of a charged emotion can be followed by buyer's remorse after the fact. So just try to keep your head about you. Pay attention to matters surfacing around, say, like health, any aha moments or awakenings that come in for you. You all might wake up one morning and just like be like, wow, I have so much clarity on this, whatever this might be. Because you're working again with 7 energy. And so 7 energy can really bring in big answers to the big questions. And so it's a very it's one of the more psychic energies in numerology. And so again, it's like the veil is thinner. So and 11s, you are also very sensitive to energy. And so this could be a very sensitive, psychically driven, very intuitive month for you all. And I think that's great. I really do, because I think this is going to give you an opportunity, especially if you're somebody who's more practical, to really play in that realm, to really nurture that side of yourself, because it's such a big side of yourself, the sensitive side. And a lot of times the way that comes out for 11s, that sensitivity, is through being hyper emotional. And so like if you have past trauma or past hurt, which don't we all, that can present itself for 11s as like very, very charged, like anger, right? Like coming out with anger and not knowing how to direct that anger or manage that anger. Or it can come out in depression or whatever. And so my point being, you are a highly sensitive energy. I mean, we all are, but 11s especially are very like just deeply sensitive, very intuitive, very like feels the energy of others and the situation deeply. And now you couple that with this undertoned 7 energy that you all are working with this month. I just think there's opportunities here for you to really work with this side of yourself, especially if you kind of like keep trying to push it down because you don't understand it or it doesn't feel good. I think this month is going to give you an opportunity to be more like reflective, to really go within, to work with these energies. And that can create those big aha moments or those big awakenings, which are not always comfortable, right? But once you move beyond the uncomfortableness, move through the lessons or whatever this is trying to show you, you now have access to such a big part of yourself, and you can start to use those gifts. You can start to use that energy, right? You'll instinctively start to recognize and honor and trust when you feel like something is for you or something is not for you. Because a lot of times 11-2s will go to the external. They can be easily influenced until they really start to work with all sides of themselves. They can be easily influenced by the external to sort of shape what they think and believe, because it's just easier than working with your own emotions, working with your own intuitiveness, right? Your own psychic abilities. But once you have an opportunity to sort of tap into that and really honor it and trust it, it's going to open up a world of opportunity for you all to like be able to be more decisive, to be able to really trust that what you are doing, if it feels right and it inspires you, is right for you. Do you know what I'm saying? So this month has an opportunity. This has the potential to really just bust open this more psychic, more intuitive side of yourself. It's already there, but it's potentially going to give you an opportunity to really work with it and to figure out how you as the individual work with it best. And again, if you're already like very well into this or really recognize this and you're very aware of this within yourself, then this really isn't going to, this won't resonate for you because you're already there. But for some of you who are more practical or again, sort of push this side of yourself away, I think you're going to be faced with it this month in a big way. And I think that you just need to find a way to work with it that feels good for you, right? And ultimately it's helping you to be more in control of your emotions, to where your emotions are not controlling you, where you're able to feel them and work through them and transmute them or channel them into something really productive, as opposed to allowing them to derail you, right? So again, this can be a month of high emotions. So when we're faced with that, when those emotions show up, if we're not able to, again, manage them or work with them or channel them into something else, something more positive, that can, and we let that drive our actions, that can, create chaos, create certain issues and whatnot. And so when those show up to be worked through, it's exactly for that reason. The universe is giving us an opportunity to make a decision on how we want to work with that energy, because emotions are energy. And when we have like so much of that energy pooled up, it has to express itself in some way. So we can either choose to express it in a way that's destructive or express it in a way that's productive. And that's the lesson, right? That is the journey, figuring out how to do that, because it's easy to sort of express that energy in a more destructive way because there's no control around that, right? It's just kind of like, I feel the emotion, I'm just going to barf it all over everybody, no matter what happens. And then I'm going to be remorseful after the fact type thing. And so the true sort of enlightenment comes when we figure out, okay, I feel this surge. I feel this like charge. I can either like just express it without any amount of responsibility on my part, or I can pause, feel the emotion, and decide how I want to express it. Because that's the power. That is the empowerment, right? Figuring out how you want to express it, because you need to express it. It needs to be expressed. But the power comes in how you express it. So I do think that that's going to be coming up. I also think that there's a possibility for some of you with this 16-7 energy for some level of deception to come in, or to uncover the truth around some level of deception. So it may be that there's some relationship or some interaction where there was something deceptive that might have happened, but you'll uncover that. And it could be as easy as you didn't read the fine print of something and now you're recognizing or realizing like, oh boy, this was not a good decision. What can I do to fix this type thing? Or it could be that somebody was lying to you about something and you uncover that. But again, remember, these experiences give us an opportunity to work with the emotions that surface. So I do think this is going to be potentially a highly emotive month for you all. But again, it's an opportunity to work with that energy. And just remember dolphin spirit, right? It's like, as you're moving through this, can you find what inspires you, what brings you joy, what sort of brings like a lighter mood to the situation, even if that means like pausing and going for a walk before you come back and have a conversation or whatever the case may be. So 11s, I think this is going to be an interesting month for you all, but I do think that's going to be an opportunity for you really to embrace a side of yourself that is so important for your 11 energy and stepping into that 11 life path and maintaining that energy, right? Because even if we step into an energy, that's great, but now it's maintenance, right? It's maintaining that vibration and maintaining, that energy. So, all right, 11s, I hope it's a beautiful August for you all. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.